The meeting itself was mostly for us to have a chance to talk about what we have seen, what we've experienced, to really focus on, the hard-hitting agenda of aid workers. The other part of it that was a little bit disappointing was that I had shared some pictures that I myself took on the ground, and those that were with me took on the ground that had not been shared with anybody. We had shared those photos, and he had mentioned that he has seen all of these before, which just was an impossibility. I'd like to believe that maybe that's not what he meant. Maybe he meant something else, but it felt very dismissive, and that was a bit frustrating. I've been to several war zones. I've been to Yemen. I've been to eastern Ukraine. I've been to Syria. This is incomparable, what we're seeing, and there are several factors to that. One is that the patient volume is so high, and the reason for that is that hospitals are systematically shut down after they're under siege. Initially, when the war started, the mortality was really attributed to trauma, conflict injury. Over time, we're now seeing additional things, consequences of lack of access to healthcare. So we're seeing chronic medical diseases that are being exacerbated, and people are dying because of that. And we're seeing chronic respiratory illness turn into acute respiratory illness, acute diarrhea, things like that are all consequences of poor access to clean water. We're also seeing deaths because of malnutrition. We know that 27 people to date have died because of severe malnutrition, 23 of them being children. These should not be these deaths should not be happening. These were all preventable, treatable, and it's absolutely horrific to see this death count rising from secondary causes. This was not the first time aid workers have been killed in Gaza. This is not the first time aid workers have been killed anywhere in the world. There's no reason for this to have happened. This is absolutely unacceptable. And I think the bigger surprise is that this was the first time that this amount of attention is being seen when other aid workers, I think over 200 by now, have been killed in Gaza. The Western world is giving the impression that the value of an international life is more so than a Palestinian life. And I think that, to me, is the messaging that we're seeing, and that's really, really disheartening. The U.S. government has the power to actually make this stop. I hope that the Biden administration has the resolve to actually do that. Based on what I've seen the narrative changing, but it needs to change faster. The language is still somewhat loose. There's not any concrete plan in place to say that if there was an invasion of Rafah, this is what would happen. This is how the U.S. policy would change. And that, to me, is disturbing. With the arms that were recently sent, this was told to us that this was a prior contract that was being respected, and that's kind of how the news has reported it as well. But to me, I would ask the question, why not halt sending those arms and ammunition to Israel in the context of what's happening? I think that's the kind of concrete thing we want to see the U.S. government talk about in how to prevent ongoing suffering, death, and catastrophic situation in Gaza.